Hey guys. Okay, so as you guys realize, it's Christmas time, and if you're like me, it's not always the best time of year. It can be really annoying and overly cheerful and difficult. Yeah, but I still like to get into the spirit, hence the elf hat, which I wear pretty much the entire month of December, and we decorate the tree and all that. That's what we did tonight, and get presents, all that stuff. But one of my favorite things about Christmas growing up was that we had this little wooden reindeer that had all these like Christmas books in it, and I thought today I would read you guys one of them. This was my favorite. It's called Rooftop Christmas. So yeah, here we go. One of the funny things about reading this now is that I notice how like this thing's just riddled with mistakes and some stuff don't even make sense, but here we go. Okay, so it was almost Christmas Eve, and Kevin was worried. He was sure Santa wouldn't be able to get into his living room. Kevin's family lived on the 10th floor of a beautiful apartment building in the middle of a big city. They had no fireplace. There was no chimney. Kevin's mother told Kevin, "Santa will come in up the elevator." "How?" Kevin asked. "Is he going to park his sled on the busy street? Is he going to buzz us? What if we're sleeping and we miss him? Who will open the loppy doors downstairs?" Kevin stared at the locks and bolts on his front door. "Santa Claus will never make it in here unless he lands on the roof and comes in through the penthouse," Kevin thought. Kevin asked his mother to call the people who lived in the penthouse. "Oh dear," she stammered, "I'm too busy right now, but I've heard it's a man, a very wealthy, strange man, who likes to be left alone. "I'll write him a letter," Kevin said. The letter was short. It said, "Dear man in the penthouse, Santa needs to get to my apartment. Can he use your terrace door? Kevin Hills, apartment 10D." Kevin didn't want to bother his mother anymore. He decided to deliver the letter himself. He snuck out of the apartment and got on the elevator. On the 20th floor, the doors opened out to a private hallway. Unlike Kevin's floor, there weren't a lot of doors. There was only one door with a big, beautiful, fancy gold door. See how it doesn't make sense? Okay. Kevin knocked on the door. No one answered. Should he push the letter under the door? Kevin knocked again. Then he noticed the door moved when he knocked. It was open. Kevin peeked in. He saw the terrace doors that led to the roof. Suddenly he got a wild idea. "I'll sneak out there and wait for Santa myself," he thought. Kevin tiptoed through the beautiful living room towards the terrace doors. He turned the knob. The door was locked. He gave both doors a good pull, which set off the burglar alarm. Kevin had never been more scared in his life. He had to get out of there. He turned and ran. In a panic, Kevin dropped his note and rushed on the elevator. Alone in the elevator, Kevin shook with fear. But back in his apartment, no one had even missed him. He'd only been gone for a few minutes. It felt much longer to Kevin. He was still afraid. Kevin tried to enjoy Christmas Eve. The tree looked beautiful, his parents were happy, but Kevin was miserable. Suddenly, Mr. Smoller, the building superintendent, appeared at the front door. He whispered something to Kevin's parents. "Oh no! Get your coat and go with Mr. Smoller," they said. Kevin put on his coat and got in the elevator with his parents and Mr. Smoller. Were they going to call the police? No! Mr. Smoller pressed the top button. They were going to the penthouse. The police weren't up there. Instead, a maid opened the door and smiled as if she had been expecting Kevin. She led him to the terrace doors. "Go on now," she said, and gave him a little push. "Mr. Montgomery found your note." Uh-oh, Kevin thought. Kevin didn't know what to expect, but what he found was more than he could have hoped for. There on the rooftop, strung in flashing Christmas lights, were the words, "Santa, enter here," and a note that read, "Dear Santa, Kevin lives in 10D. If you can't get in, leave his presents under the tree. Mr. Montgomery." As soon as Kevin saw the sign, he wasn't worried anymore. He knew this Christmas Eve Santa Claus would certainly find him. The end. So yeah, that was my favorite book when I was a kid, around Christmas time. I hope you all enjoyed that. And have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you're celebrating. Have a great time. Love you guys.